Greetings. Our readings are the rest of Leviticus, chapters 17 to 27. We read about holiness codes and how obedience is still a concern here. Now, it's my understanding that if conformity to ritual is just for the sake of it, that's going to lead to stress, and that's going to get old real quick, which is why obedience is joined to purification, because that's going to lead us to a new lifestyle. In other words, obedience leads to holiness. We read, "Be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." The holiness code calls for a distinct way of living in every area of life. People should see God reflected in the way one is living by the holiness code. Be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Now, in Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 to 40, Jesus makes a reference that is found in Leviticus. In Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, we read, "You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against any of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." Now in Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 to 40, Jesus says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." This is another example on why it's so important to be reading all of the Bible and how we better understand Jesus' teachings when we understand and read the Old Testament, and that Jesus is getting these things from somewhere, right? Now, Leviticus chapter 25, we read about the sabbatical year of Jubilee and how, the land gets a break, Israelites get a break, servants get a break, animals get a break. Everybody gets a break, right? Kind of like Oprah Winfrey giving away cars, right? Everybody gets one. In chapter 25, verses 20 to 22, we read, "Should you ask, what shall we eat in the seventh year, if we may not sow or gather in our crop? I will order my blessing for you in the 6th year, so that it will yield a crop for 3 years. When you sow in the 8th year, you will be eating from the old crop until the 9th year. When its produce comes in, you shall eat the old." So in other words, if you give the land a break, if you follow my instructions, if you're obedient to this, I'm going to take care of you. You're going to have plenty of daily bread to get you through that time. God's going to provide. All this is contingent upon God to begin with, right? Now, the year of Jubilee is a time of Sabbath rest. In reading from the Enter the Bible resource, we're reminded that it's a time of homecoming, time of liberation. We see that debts are forgiven, Israel's slaves are set free, lands to be returned to its proper owners. So if a person falls on bad times and they're forced to sell their land to pay off all their debts, that sale is not going to be permanent. So both land and people are set free in the year of Jubilee. As some that I was reading in commentary on what we were getting in Leviticus chapter 25. So truly a year of liberation, right? A form of God's economic justice. That, again, a reminder that, we're not indebted to anyone but God, right? None of this belongs to anyone but God, right? If I hire servants, they don't belong to me. They belong to God. If I buy land, the land doesn't really belong to me in the end. It belongs to God. All of it's contingent upon God. And the Sabbath year Jubilee are reminders of that, humbling reminders of that. And that we shouldn't take advantage of people. We live in a society that when people fall in hard times, they become prey, victims of people who want to take more advantage of them, right? So say what you want about Leviticus, but Leviticus is saying, no, you cannot do that to people. We will not take advantage of people. They will be liberated in the year of Jubilee. Think about Leviticus as a whole. As Christians, we might not think much of it, right? But obedience to God does lead us to a distinct way of living, right? Boundaries can keep us safe. Worshiping and following God filling God with our time, using our gifts to serve God, sharing our treasure with God and neighbor. This all bears witness to the world that we love and serve the Lord our God, right? That our lives should reflect the holy God that we serve. Be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. I think that's the message from Leviticus that we should carry with us in our daily walk with the Lord. Those are some thoughts. Take care and God bless.